Okay, welcome back, students. Welcome you back to our 16th lesson. We are still under this topic, that is the people of Kenya in the 19th century, and we've been talking about the three groups that I had introduced to you earlier. So today I just wanted to talk about the plain Nilot. After the previous video we talked about the River Lake Nilot, and partially we talked about the plain Nilot, but now today we want to pick it from there. Then after that we are going to be able to talk about the other group of Nilots, that is the Highland Nilot. But then, what are we supposed to be obtaining, or what are we supposed to be getting from this? We are supposed to be getting the example of them, for example, plain Nilot, the reason why they came to Kenya, and also the results of them coming to Kenya. So those are the areas that we are going to look at. Those are the main lesson objectives within this concept we are going to cover within this class. So let's start with the examples of the plain Nilots. The plain Nilots, I say that plain Nilot we have plain Nilots examples we have Ma. Masai, Turkana, Masai, Turkana, Samburu, and Kesu. Or some people always say Itesu. Masai, Turkana, Samburu, Itesu. So these are the example of the plain Nilot within the country. And there is a song that I cannot forget about. The song talking about the plain Nilots, all of them. And I can remember that we were taught when we were in primary. Masai, Turkana, Samburu, James, Karamanjon, Teso are all plain Nilots. So that was just a song to help us master this example. So if you ask this, it's easy. The Ma, and I say that the Ma community, sometimes the question will ask you, among the plain Nilots, give the two Ma community. Ma community you have got the Masai and in Kenya. Ma community in Kenya, those are the plain Nilots. So let's look at them one by one. The Masai is the first one. The Masai, their movement from north of Lake Turkana closely associated with the origin of Kalenjin speakers. So Kalenjins are the island Nilots. So by the 1580, that's after the death of Christ, the Maasai began to move separately southwards between the Mount Kenya and Mount Elgon, that is a border between Kenya and Uganda. Then by 19th century, they had settled in Washingishu, that is a county right now, that is the Rift Valley County, where we have the valleys. So even spread into the Tanzania along the Rift Valley. So we talk about the Rift Valley, the place where this natural structure is within the county known as Rift Valley County. So that is where history says that these people moved, and they were moving along them. Then some of the plain Nilots found themselves within the Tanzania. That's why if you go to Tanzania, you find that there are some communities that are similar in terms of their speaking, in terms of their complexions as compared. If you go to Tanzania, you have got, for example, Luos. You have Luos of Tanzania, Uganda, meaning that these people were once just community, but because of movement and there were reason making them to spread away from each other, so they just spread, but they were one communities. And that is being depicted by the way they associate with each other, the way they look like, and the way they talk, and etc. And that was really explained to you when we were talking about the Bantus. Understand? So that's why if you go maybe to Tanzania, you find that a certain community calling a certain name, resembling another name within another community in the Kenya, do not get mesmerized, do not get confused. Just know that a person who is learning linguistics should have known what is taking place. So those are what are there. So the next, they moved and assimilated the Sirikwa people. Then they also weighed war against the neighbors of Kalenjins, Kamba, Ababus. So these were just how these people were moving, and when they were moving, what was they were encountered. And this is not being asked in exam. This is just good for personal knowledge, just understanding how these people came to be. But then, where they came from, which we have talked about, this Turkana, that one you can ask. So, then the next, in 1950, the Maasai experienced many natural disasters like droughts, famine, cattle diseases, leading to the decline of their power, and also they also experienced civil war between the Kwabi and the Puko. These were the groups within the Maasai that were in the civil war for a very long time. So because of that, their prowess, their power decreases because of these diseases and etc. You can be asked, what are the reasons that made the Maasai communities the power of the Maasai communities to decline? We talk about these diseases, we talk about the civil war between the Pukwan and Kwabi, within Maasai. So when the Loibong Mbatia died, the two sons, Sendeyo and the Lenana, became involved in the protracted concession dispute. So they were also weakened by the war within the Agikuyu. So Agikuyu were also the neighbors within them, and the Agikuyu were also having their war by then. So they were weakened by that. So their power came into an end with the coming of British rule. And Kenya was a country colonized by the British. So when British invaded the land, their prowess, their power was declined by the strong power, strong regime that was coming from the European, that is a Britain country, colonizing country Kenya by then. So after that, what is very important? What are the effects? Previously we talked about the reason that made them to migrate from where they came from. And when we talk about Nilotes, the Nilotes came from the Barrel Desert. That is in southern Sudan. You understand? So we talked much about, but now what is very important in this, after knowing where these people came, after a little bit understanding, then what are the effects? What are the results of them coming to Kenya? Now that is always being said in exam. You are supposed to know that. One, the migration and settlement of the Maasai in their present region led to the increase in population. There was an increase in population because the neighbors that they find around, people like Agikuyu, people like other communities, now the population was very many. The population was high in such area. So that was one of the results. That was one of the impacts. That was one of the effects. So the next, as they migrated into Kenya, the Maasai pushed and displaced communities. So when they moved to where they were, they realized that there are other people who were in those lands by then, and therefore they pushed them away. Those people were displaced by them, and that is the result. Displacing other communities was another result. And those examples of these communities are like Nandi. Nandi is a good example that were pushed by them. Then after that, you also have the Maasai influenced the fighting tactics of their group in Kenya. So because of their tactics of fighting, the other communities in the country, Kenya, also adopted their culture of their tactics in the war, and therefore the fight was improved. The fight was really encouraged because of them coming near the communities that were in the country, Kenya. Then the next effect or the next impact is that the Maasai absorbed the southern Cushites such as the Robo. There were other southern Cushites. In southern Cushites we say we were having the Sanye or the Hale. But then outside there are also another one which is the Robo. We also have others outside. Others outside what? Outside Kenya. So they influenced, the Maasai influenced some of these communities to be under them. And that was a result of them coming or going to where they were, or coming to and settling in Kenya. And the next, there were intermarriages. So after these people came to Kenya, there were also intermarriages. And these intermarriages take place between Maasai, Akamba, and the Agikuyu. Now, these people could marry or they could get married to these other neighboring communities, just as a result of them coming into the country, Kenya. So please, there are always a question whereby students always get confused. When you're asked to give the reason why a certain community migrated into Kenya, or reason why a certain community reason for the migration of certain community from their original homeland, or from their crown land, or from their cradle land, or from their homeland. Those are two different things. Reason as to why a community migrated should be due to something because of war, conflicts, because of maybe population pressure. But then, if you ask the results, what are the outcome of them coming into the country Kenya? Please talk about the impacts. In a sense, it led to population increase. It led to intermarriages. Then at least you explain, you give, for example, you can talk about the Kikuyu and the Kamba might intermarried with the Maasai. You understand? And also it led to influence of the fighting tactics within the groups in the country that adopted the tactics from the what? From the Maasai and other things that we are yet to talk about. Another one, there was cultural interaction, and it led to cultural interaction which gave rise to what? Enrich cultures. People exchange the cultures, and therefore, when there was an exchange in cultures, that brought what? Diversity in terms of the cultures interaction within the community in the country. So they adopt some cultural practices from the southern Kushet. For example, the 8-set system. This was a group, or this was a structure whereby those people who are having a certain age, they were supposed to be undergoing a certain a practice in the community, and that was circumcision. Those kids on the puberty, they were supposed to form one age or one age-set system to circumcise. And after that, they were also doing that to the girls also, and that was known as clerodectomy. You understand? So clerodectomy is just the opposite of circumcision. If circumcision is for the boys, then for the girls, it was clerodectomy, which is not allowed right now. It is not allowed right now in the part of girls. It is really against the law of the country because it was coming with very many side effects. So they also adopted some of the Kalenjin vocabularies. So Maasai also adopted some of the Kalenjin vocabularies. Then the last, which marked the last part of this first video, is that their settlement enhanced trade within the different communities. They exchanged livestock products for the grains with the Luya. So Luya were good in grain, in farming or cultivating. That means that they were Bantus. Then Maasai exchanged, because Maasai were good. They were always moving the cattle from one place to another. That means they were pastoralists. So they exchanged their meat or livestock with their Luya in the exchange of grain, etc. Let's make this be the first part of this video. Let's tune into the next video. Otherwise, thank you.